the meaning is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse is giving to us different pressure, different kind of pressure that is upon the human being in general, which is coming from the society around us. The problem is that sometimes we need to have kind of cure from this kind of diseases, sometimes coming from within, sometimes coming from outside society. And this is what I'm going to say, inshallah, or what I'm going to discuss during this lecture. That is, we have to build a kind of spiritual barrier or wall between the disease that we've got and the implementation on it. I mean that execution of this kind of disease. This is what I call it always the gratification of the desires. إشباع الرغبات in general. Desires in general, not only sexual desires. Desires sometimes it is something intellectual. Anger, for example, al-ghadab, considered to be an intellectual desire. You want to execute it. Someone that is trying to pick a fight with you, for example, and you have control, or at least we say that if you do not have any control over it, you want to gratify this kind of desire to pick a fight with him again, or to at least to insult him back or something like this. This is what we call it gratification of desires in general. Ramadan is a golden opportunity to build this barrier, which is between thinking about the disease or thinking about the desire and temptations and executing it. This is what we are trying to, inshallah, talk about now. So maybe in the introduction, I mentioned here something that, as I said, I put it in inner drives and outer pressure. And I'm going to talk about the maturity of Islam after that regarding dealing with such kind of things. I was reading recently about something related to meditation in general, and something called the transcendent or transcendental meditation. As you know, that meditation in general is considered to be a therapy for many people. Just you are trying to relax yourself, and you will find that a lot of fatigue, stresses, and even your blood pressure and so on, you're going to dissolve a lot of problems that is you are facing in your life. But actually, when I compare it with the Islamic point of view in regard to changing the individual, you will find that the Islamic perspective in general, especially in the month of Ramadan, for example, highly mature than even something like meditation. This is because of many things. One of the most important, interesting thing that meditation is giving to you a kind of sense of seclusion. You have to be isolated. You have to be away from the people, for example. Try to relax. Do not think about anything that is distressful for you. That's good. But again, this is temporary. It will not be permanent. You are going to stay away from the people. This is number one. However, in Islam, you will find that always, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Islam in general, always trying to reach and tackle the problem from a very, very different approach. That is, be with people and try to change yourself and change your attitudes as well. And this is why I'm saying always and describing it as the maturity of Islam. Maturity of Islam means that the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described for us, in order to change ourselves, or to change the people around us, or to change even the entire environment that is surrounding us, highly mature. It's so practical. We cannot say that, for example, how we are going to get rid of jealousy by meditation, how we are going to get rid of anger by meditation. However, in Islam, you will find for any single detail that you could think about that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave a quote or a hadith, or there is a verse in the Qur'an that is going to deal with this problem in a very, very mature way. And this is why I'm saying that Islam, if the people just try to think about Islam from this point of view, you will find that you have an entire book of guidance and very practical in the same time, not theoretical. And this is what I call it the maturity in Islam in general, in changing the individual. And I want to mention here also that in Islam, whenever you are trying to read in Islam, I mean, if you are trying to recite the Quran or read the Quran or the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find that something that is very unique in the Quran, especially in Quran, you will find that different ways, different patterns of dealing with the human being. Sometimes it commands you, sometimes it threatens you, sometimes it gives it to you in a very tender story, in a good story that you are going to look to it and live with the story, theme and lines. And this is the miraculous ayat of the Quran. Quran is not only commands. Quran is not only giving to you commands, do's and don't do's. No. You will find that sometimes Quran is giving to you a kind of perception. Sometimes it threatens you directly. Sometimes it gives to you a very relevant story that if you put yourself in it as one character of the story, then you can find many kind of teachings and lessons that you are going to draw from this story. So this is why whenever we read Quran, you should live with it in that level. That it's not a book of fiction, it's not a book of, or it's not a novel that you're going to read and enjoy for some time and read the stories of the prophets and messengers and so on. No. Quran is something that is highly considered to be highly matured in dealing with you as a human being, as an individual. Okay? So this is important, and this is what I felt actually whenever I interact with youth or people in general, especially Muslim youth in Middle East and so on. I found that they are having a bit hesitation toward the Quran. They do not have the full conviction inside their hearts and intellects that Quran is going to solve everything for their world. But actually this is not right at all. You have to submit your heart, your soul, and your intellect. One of the most important locks on the hearts nowadays, from my own point of view, is the intellectual lock. Okay? A kind of hesitation, mistrust in really, does this Quran or this Ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the entire Islam is going to be suitable for me or not? That's a problem. This is the problem that most of the people now they are living in. And whenever we look to the alternatives, which, for example, the non-Muslim patterns and styles for living and understanding life, they are so attractive and making a lot of propaganda. But really, if you look, if you try to think, if you try to study in deeper level, you will find that Islam highly mature. But the problem that you do not spend the time, you do not spend enough time with the Quran and the Hadith regarding these issues. So inshallah we are going to try to address this problem from different, and tackle it from different parts. The next point, we have 3 different sources of desires. Okay? The first one is the tangible desires. Tangible desires, something that is related to you. Two main desires related to your body and some kind of, we can say delusions, for example, related to the society. Okay? And the other one, and the second one, is the desires of the intellect, mind desires. And the third one is the desires that is, we can call it psychological desires, for example. Things that is highly related to the interaction with people. Okay? So the first one, which is the tangible desires, it is something related to you, to your body, and related to some extent to the way that you are dealing with the others. The second one is related to your mind, intellect. And the third type of desire or source of desire is related to the people, psychological things. If you try, what we're going to try in this lecture, that we're going to diagnose the symptoms based on the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and try to put a prescription or a solution for it, for each type of disease. And based on that, you're going to build this barrier that we have talked about, this spiritual barrier between thinking about the desire